Discover the incredible moment a homeless mom's first love funding her salvation was revealed. On a vibrant sunny afternoon in the heart of Chicago, the sun spilled its golden light over the skyline, illuminating the stark contrast between shiny skyscrapers and the patchy tents of the homeless. Among those struggling was Sarah, a 31-year-old single mother, desperately trying to make ends meet. Once a proud valedictorian, her dreams were now just distant echoes, overshadowed by crippling loss and the constant grind of poverty. Today, she tried to bring color to her world, as she carefully arranged handmade crafts at her modest stall in the park. Amid the chatter of children playing and the hustle of city life, Sarah felt a familiar warmth wash over her when she locked eyes with Jake, her high school sweetheart. He had traded his tattered days of teenage dreams for a tailored suit and an aura of success. Sarah's heart raced as she remembered their laughter, their plans, their innocent hopes. But the sparkle in his eyes in no way matched the heavy burdens blackening her own heart, burdens she feared would crash down on her the moment she unveiled her truth. "Sarah. Is that really you?" Jake's south voice filled the park, bringing with it a wave of nostalgia. He approached with a megawatt smile, naively unaware of the storm brewing beneath Sarah's brave facade. "Hey, Jake," she managed to whisper, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. They spoke about old memories, each laugh punctuated by her internal struggle. Could she be worthy of this connection? What would he think if he learned about her life now? The questions buzzed in her mind like angry hornets. As days turned into weeks, their conversations grew deeper. Sarah's chest felt lighter, but also heavier with the fragility of her truth. Each exchange was an escape from her reality, but always ended with her battling self-doubt and the fear of judgment. Meanwhile, she toiled tirelessly at her crafts, hoping each piece would somehow propel them to a better life. Then, a pivotal opportunity emerged. A local business initiative aimed at funding small entrepreneurs was announced. It would offer Sarah a chance to rebuild. But the road to funding haunted her. Would she have to share her heart-wrenching story during an upcoming community event? Her pulse quickened at the thought, all eyes on her, judging, wondering why she hadn't succeeded. But then, one serene evening, as Lucas chatted away with a friend, Sarah overheard something that struck her. He was singing her praises, talking about warm snuggles on cold nights and how she always managed to make him smile. In that moment, she felt a flicker of hope igniting inside her. If Lucas adored her despite their struggles, perhaps others would be kinder than she anticipated. With shaky resolve, Sarah decided she wouldn't keep hiding. The community celebration loomed closer, and she prepared to unveil her struggles, her resilience, her truth. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the microphone was passed to her and her heart raced, Lucas sprang up, his eyes gleaming with excitement. He wiggled his way onto the stage, ready to share his own reflections about his mom's unyielding love and strength. The crowd hushed, eyes glued to the stage. Sarah's mind spun. What would they think? Would they embrace her truth or shun it? Her breath hitched in her throat as Lucas prepared to speak. In this moment of vulnerability, she clung to hope, feeling the weight of 1,000 eyes, unsure if she would soar or sink once more. Lucas stood on stage, the small boy's frame radiating confidence, his innocence shining like a beacon through the swirling crowd. For a fleeting second, Sarah's heart swelled with pride, the kind that makes you want to simultaneously cry and laugh. This was her son, her little miracle. Yet, beneath that pride lay a quivering dread. What if her truth overshadowed his bright moment? He cleared his throat, his voice shaky but resolute. "Hi, everyone. My mom is the best." A few chuckles echoed through the audience. She knew he was merely following the thread of her earlier conversations, just spinning tales of love and warmth he often felt. But as he continued, she could hear the thread starting to unravel. We don't have much, but she always finds a way to make things fun. And I love her so much. The sincerity in his words began to slice through her fears, but she still felt a twinge of panic at the raw honesty spilling forth. Would the crowd really connect to the hard edges of their lives? What if they turned their backs on her because of the mess life had dealt? Just as Sarah braced herself for the worst, Lucas jumped again. My mom works really hard. She makes the coolest stuff. She even made a blanket that I take everywhere. The audience murmured a soft chorus of appreciation for the child's simple yet genuine praise. Suddenly, it didn't feel like everyone was towering above her judgmentally. They were sitting, like a family, ready to listen. Feeling an unseen connection with the crowd, Sarah began to breathe again. This was her moment and, despite the swelling anxiety, she knew she could no longer clothe herself in shame. When Lucas wrapped up with a shy smile and thank you for listening. The applause felt thunderous, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. The microphone was hers now, and as she took it, all eyes remained fixed on her. Her heart thudded in her chest like a drum echoing through the amphitheater of her life. She decided to speak from the depths of her heart. You know, we all have stories and sometimes they hurt, a lot. My story isn't just one of struggle. It's one of love, resilience, and hope. Sarah felt the tremor in her voice, the power of vulnerability rising to the surface. Memories flooded her mind, the nights spent clutching Lucas to her chest, the dreams of a better life flickering like candles in the dark. I'm not here just to ask for help, but to show you, she said, gesturing the crafts on display, that even the simplest things can hold immense power. As she spoke, she allowed her truth to trickle out, her life stitching together narratives of resilience, the eviction notices, the panicked nights, but also the laughter and love that filled their tiny shared world. The community hall was transforming around her, she could feel its pulse, raw with empathy. The response was overwhelming. The crowd leaned in, nodding, whispering encouragement. In their eyes, she saw glimmers of recognition and understanding, not judgment but solidarity. A woman in the front row wiped her eyes, another clutched her partner's hand a little tighter. When Sarah finished, she felt exposed yet free, like her burdens had been lifted as she spoke up. The applause that erupted was not a mere acknowledgement, it was a wave of shared strength and renewed hope. But amidst the applause, a lingering question tugged at her heart. Would this newfound acceptance lead to actual support? How would they respond once the event faded, when the reality of her situation came knocking again? As Sarah climbed down from the stage, she caught Jake's gaze, no longer just a familiar face, but an ally, perhaps. His eyes sparkled with something she hadn't noticed before. Was it admiration? Concern? Maybe one of them would ask how they could help. But when their eyes met, he smiled warmly, a single nod sending ripples of newfound determination through her. She walked toward him, feeling buoyant yet apprehensive, overwhelmed yet emboldened, asking herself as she approached, was he ready to embrace her new truth, too? As Sarah drew closer to Jake, a mixture of hope and uncertainty welled up inside her. The air felt thick with unanswered questions. Did her story resonate enough that they might help? She took a deep breath to steady herself, trying to ignore the clamor of doubt in her mind. Each step towards him seemed amplified, like the resounding beat of a drum, signaling an important shift in her life. Hey, she said, as she reached him, her voice trembling slightly. Thank you for, well, everything. Jake leaned in, his eyes narrowing as if searching for something hidden within her words. Sarah, that was powerful. I didn't know you carried so much weight. His voice was gentle, yet firm, filled with sincerity. It made her feel seen, understood in a way she hadn't felt in a long time. It's been a ride, she replied, her heart fluttering. But I'm here now. I want to make a change. Nodding, Jake stepped closer, creating a small bubble of intimacy amidst the bustling crowd. I want to help, he said. What if we set up a community project? Something that can not only support you but help others too. Her stomach twisted at the thought of allowing others into her world, her fears sprawling out like shadows. You really think people would care? Absolutely, he replied without hesitation. You saw it tonight. People want to support, they want to connect. You opened their hearts. The warmth in her chest spread even further. It was a start, a flicker of something brighter on the horizon. But I'm just me. And a lot has to change. I don't even know where to begin. Jake smiled softly, his demeanor radiating reassurance. You start by sharing your vision. Something simple, even gathering a few friends to create something tangible. A market for the crafts, maybe a workshop. Whatever you decide, I'll be right there with you. His words ignited a spark within her, pushing away the darkness that loomed. You mean it? Of course. We can get this rolling together. Just imagine how much you could accomplish with a bit of support. And who knows? Your story might inspire even more. Sarah felt a rush of emotions. Excitement surged through her veins, mixing with the chaos of fear, the fear of vulnerability, of being let down again. What if no one shows up? Or what if they do and they don't like what I create? Then we try again. We'll figure it out as we go. You're not alone in this. Encouragement wrapped around her like a cozy blanket, his warmth was palpable. She wanted to believe him, to free herself from the shackles of isolation that had bound her for so long. But echoes of her past whispered warnings in her ear. Each setback had created a wall around her heart. Okay, she found herself saying. Let us do it. But what if there's not enough time? What if I fail? Well, Jake remarked, tilting his head, what if you don't? What if this is the moment everything starts to change? His question lingered in the air, heavy with implication. At that moment, Sarah felt a shift. What if this was actually the beginning? A chance not only for herself but for others like her, struggling yet yearning for something more. As they exchanged details to plan their next steps, her heart raced with a dizzying blend of fear and excitement. What if Jake was right? What if this was the start of something incredible? But as they stepped back into the bustling crowd, a new worry stepped in. Would the community that had listened so closely tonight remain supportive when the novelty wore off? Would she really be able to harness this momentum into lasting change for herself and Lucas? And, in the background, a familiar figure watched from a distance, someone with a knowing smile that sent chills down her spine. What did they know that she didn't? The next day dawned bright and clear, yet Sarah felt a weight pressing on her chest as she stared out of her window. The sun lit up her small apartment, but the glow failed to penetrate her uncertainty. She fumbled with her phone, scrolling through memories of the night before, the laughter, the applause. She barely recognized the girl who spoke so openly. That girl felt fearless, invincible. Now, she felt like a mirage, fading as reality set back in. Jake's enthusiasm echoed in her mind. Gather a few friends, he had said. But who exactly did she have to turn to? Her thoughts spiraled as she thought of her old friends, the ones that drifted away as her struggles deepened. But a resolve flickered to life. If she wanted change, she had to step outside of her comfort zone. She clutched her phone tightly and dialed Carla, a woman from her past who had woven in and out of her life. They met years ago at a community center. Carla was the first person she had shared her story with. The moment she heard Carla's voice, it brought back a wave of warmth. Hey. It's Sarah, she said, her voice cracking slightly. I know it's been a while, but I'm starting a community project. I could really use your help. There was a brief pause before Carla responded. Of course. I'm in. Tell me more. Sarah felt the tension ease as they brainstormed ideas over the phone, throwing around possibilities for classes and small workshops that could ignite a spark in the community. With each suggestion, Sarah felt lighter, more energized. She hung up the phone feeling like she could actually see the seeds of her dreams starting to germinate. Later that day, Sarah decided to take a walk. She wandered down the familiar streets, taking note of faces she had known for so long yet barely spoken to in years. As she approached the park, she spotted Lucas playing with a group of kids. The carefree laughter and shrieks of joy from the children warmed her spirit. Oh, to be a kid again, she thought as she settled down on a bench nearby, watching him run. A knot of guilt tugged at her heart. Would she be able to build a future where he could thrive? The thought felt both heavy and motivating. From her spot, she noticed a small booth across the park. A group was gathering for a local farmers market, an event she once loved to attend. Inspiration flooded through her. Why not capitalize on that? If they could sell fresh produce, surely they could also promote crafts and creative workshops. Suddenly, she noticed that familiar figure from last night, a figure she had only caught a glimpse of before. They were standing under a tree, a slight, enigmatic smile gracing their lips. Sarah felt a shiver. Did they really know something she didn't? With her heart racing, she stood up, her mind swirling with questions. She started to approach the figure, her hesitation making her pace falter. What if they wanted to pull her back into a past she didn't want to revisit? But at the same time, something urged her to seek answers. Wait, she said, as she quickened her steps. You. I need to know, what do you know about me? As she drew closer, their smile broadened, and they tilted their head. Everything you've gone through has led you here, but the real question is, are you ready for what comes next? A chill ran down her spine. What did that mean? Sarah's heart hammered in her chest. She could feel the weight of the moment pressing in on her, as she braced herself for a revelation that could change everything. Would the truth shatter her newfound hope, or was this only the beginning? The air buzzed with tension as Sarah stood just a few feet away from the figure. They seemed to merge effortlessly with the trees, their smile both inviting and unsettling. It felt like the world around her faded, the chatter of the marketplace dulled, and the crackling energy from the children's laughter turned into a distant echo. Are you ready for what comes next? They repeated gently, their voice a soothing balm, yet it carried an edge of challenge. What does that even mean? Sarah blurted out, frustration flooding her tone. She felt silly for letting a stranger make her feel so vulnerable. What do you know about me? The figure stepped forward, allowing the sunlight to cast a gentle glow on their face. I know everything you've been through, but it's what you choose to do next that truly matters. Do you just walk around reading people's thoughts? Sarah shot back, sarcasm creeping into her words. She wasn't in the mood for riddles or cryptic messages, especially not when she felt so close to breaking through her own barriers. The smile softened. You fought hard, haven't you? A lump formed in Sarah's throat. Acknowledgement, she didn't get that much. Yeah, I guess so, she managed. I've watched you, they shared, a tinge of compassion etched in their tone. You carry the weight of fear and hope all at once. But surrendering to fear will keep you from reaching out for what you truly desire. Sarah felt a tumult of emotions swirling within her. She was a mother, a dreamer, and now, she was teetering on the edge of a decision that could define her. And what if I fail? What if nobody shows up for my project? What if I put myself out there and everyone just laughs? The figure's expression shifted, becoming serious. Every time you choose to step forward in the face of fear, you open a door. Even if it doesn't lead where you want, each step carries its lessons and strength, too. Strength, she whispered, letting the word hang between them. The sound of a child laughing nearby pierced through her tumultuous thoughts. Was that what she was really afraid of? Failing to overcome her past but also losing sight of who she could become? The moment stretched, and she found herself searching the figure's eyes for answers. So, what now? Now you take a risk. Gather your community, they need you as much as you need them, they said, their tone encouraging. There are hearts waiting for someone like you to inspire them. Okay, she breathed out. The resolve began to push through her uncertainty. Maybe this was what she needed, an unexpected moment of clarity amidst the chaos of her thoughts. Believe you're meant for more than just this moment, they said, stepping back slightly, creating space as if they were ready to leave. But remember, the choice is yours. You have everything within you to succeed. As they stepped into the sunlight, Sarah's heart raced. Wait! She called out, but the figure was already blending into the crowd, leaving her only with an echo of a smile and that powerful reminder of potential. Taking a deep breath, she turned back toward the park. Lucas was still laughing, now rolling on the grass with his friends. She caught his eye and smiled, feeling that familiar tug of love and hope flood back into her chest. That smile. It reignited something inside her. I can't give up, not now, she murmured to herself. Each step toward her community project became more than just a way to reconnect, it was a lifeline for every single person who had woven itself into her tapestry of life. But doubts lingered. She had to confront them one last time. Summoning her courage, she clenched her fist and spoke aloud, "What if I find the strength to push through?" Suddenly, the world seemed brighter, possibilities stretching out before her like an open highway. As she walked back toward the farmer's market, determination solidified in her heart. Sarah decided to stand tall and share her dreams with the world. But in her heart, the lingering question remained, would she find the community she sought, or would fear grip her once more? Each step felt like an unraveling moment, preparing her for the waves ahead, and the truth awaited, hidden just beyond the dawn of her new journey. The sun hung low in the sky as Sarah approached the bustling farmer's market. The stalls bustled with activity, vibrant colors splashed across fresh produce and handmade crafts. Each step felt like stepping into another world, a community waiting to embrace her, yet still tinged with that ever-present anxiety. She watched the families, laughter spilling from every corner, children running around with sticky fingers and bright smiles. It was a powerful reminder of everything she had been longing for. But there it was again, the creeping shadow of doubt. What if her dreams fell flat? What if she was just chasing an illusion? Pushing through the crowd, she sought familiar faces. There was no need to rush, this moment was about building bridges. As she approached a table where familiar neighbors chatted, her heart raced. She was greeted with warm smiles, and suddenly the air around her crackled with the energy of possibility. "Hey, Sarah!" Clara called out, waving her hand. "Come join us. We're picking out our veggies for the week." Clara's enthusiasm was contagious. "Yeah, I might need some help," Sarah replied, her voice catching a little. They discovered a bond there, shared suffering turned to support. Clara was one of the few who knew the challenges Sarah faced alone as a single mom. After exchanging pleasantries, Sarah took a deep breath. "There's something I've been thinking about," she began, feeling the weight of her vulnerability. "I want to start a project, a community gathering, a creative space for families." The chatter around her briefly quieted. Eyes widened with curiosity. "What do you mean?" Clara leaned in, a spark of interest igniting. "I want to bring everyone together," Sarah explained, passion swelling in her chest. "We can share ideas, talents, and maybe even start a few classes for the kids, something that connects us." The group murmured among themselves, the hum of intrigue buzzing in the air. "That sounds like a great idea," someone said, and it felt like a small weight lifted from her chest. But one voice ventured, "How can we make it happen? I mean, do you have a plan?" A knot twisted in Sarah's stomach. That question loomed larger than her imagination. I haven't figured out all the details yet," she admitted. But with every heartbeat, with every look of encouragement from her friends, the silhouette of her dream began to sharpen. "Maybe we can help brainstorm," Clara suggested, nodding with conviction. "We can each bring something to the table, and together we can build this." "You're not alone, Sarah." Laughter erupted as someone joked about bringing cookies to accompany the brainstorming sessions, but in that moment, everything felt serious. Encouragement echoed around her, a tentative foundation bolstered by friendship. Sarah felt a warmth blossom in her chest. For the first time, the vision didn't feel impossibly far away. It was tangible, blossoming into reality with every shared word. Yet, as her heart began to swell with hope, anxiety crept back in, the what-ifs threatening her fragile determination again. But what if it doesn't take off? She thought, that inner voice nagging at her. Hey! Clara interrupted her thoughts. Just keep dreaming. We'll help make it solid, step by step. Sarah looked at her, the resolve in her friend's eyes igniting her own. Yeah, step by step, she whispered, allowing it to sink in. As they continued to discuss ideas, laughter mixed with plans, Sarah realized she wasn't just building a project, she was embracing her community, opening herself up to possibilities that had felt forever out of reach. But what if setbacks arose? Would she still have the strength to face them? As optimism coursed through her, she knew challenges lay ahead, but so did the promise of connection. Emboldened by newfound allies, Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the energy of hope pulse around her. It was time to leap into the unknown after all, every great adventure starts with a single step. But what would be waiting for her on the other side? The answer lurked just beyond the horizon. As the days merged into weeks, Sarah found herself enveloped in a whirlwind of preparations. Every morning brought fresh excitement and nervous energy that twisted in her stomach. She scribbled notes, mapped out ideas, and reached out to neighbors, each step signaling her commitment to this new venture, this community gathering she envisioned. One rainy afternoon, Sarah stood in her kitchen, a pile of half-sketched flyers strewn across the table. She took a moment, staring out at the rain-soaked street, hoping for a breakthrough. And that's when a thought hit her: what if she reached out for help in a broader sense? The idea nibbled at her mind, drawing her forward. She grabbed her laptop and began crafting an email to share her vision with the local community center, a place that seemed on the verge of being a pivotal ally. Her fingers hovered, hesitating. The old doubt started creeping back. What if they laughed? What if they told her she was crazy for even trying? Stop, she whispered to herself, squaring her shoulders. This is about the community, not just me. As she pressed send, a flutter of both fear and exhilaration filled her. What if this was the turning point? Would they support her idea? Days later, she received a response that made her heart race. The head of the community center, Mrs. Andrews, wanted to meet. Sarah couldn't contain her excitement. This was her chance to take things a step further, to turn her fragile dream into something more substantial. On the day of their meeting, Sarah dressed with purpose. She chose a deep blue blouse, a color that made her feel confident, like she was stepping into her potential. As she approached the community center, the sun broke through the clouds, casting warm light on the path ahead. It felt like a good omen. Mrs. Andrews welcomed her with a wide smile and a comforting air. They chatted over coffee, Sarah enthusiastically sharing her vision. With every word, she saw Mrs. Andrews' interest grow, sparking a connection. It felt magical, like a melody starting to form. As they crafted ideas together, Sarah's passion beamed through, igniting possibilities. But just as Sarah began to feel the pull of possibilities, doubt crept in. What about funding? Do I even know where to start? She asked, her voice trembling slightly. Mrs. Andrews leaned forward. You know, Sarah, there's a local grant for community projects like this. It's competitive, but if you're passionate and committed, you might have a good shot. I can help you draft the application. Sarah's mind raced. A grant? That was a lifeline, the support she had been yearning for. But this meant a lot of work. The prospect of applying felt daunting, but the hope it sparked lit a fire in her. Would you really help me? Sarah asked, feeling a wave of gratitude rush over her. Of course. It's exciting to see someone want to make a difference. We can plan meetings, gather more support from the community, and work through the application together. You won't have to do this alone, Mrs. Andrews assured her, a warm smile radiating promise. It felt like a door had opened, a door leading to a world where her dreams could take flight. Sarah's heart pounded hard against her chest. She realized that every request for help, every step she took forward, tied the community closer to her vision. As she left the community center, clutching a notepad filled with plans and ideas, a thought bubbled to the surface: what if this was just the beginning? But along with that thought, a new fear emerged. Could she truly rally everyone, overcome the obstacles, and create something lasting? With a grim determination, Sarah reminded herself, step by step. But as she walked away, she couldn't shake the nagging thought that success would demand more than she ever imagined. What kind of strength would she need to push through the inevitable challenges? As excitement buzzed in her veins, she realized she was on the brink of something incredible. But what shadows loomed on her path ahead? Would she be ready to face them head-on? The answer awaited just beyond. The next step. Sarah spent the next few days in a whirlwind of activity. Her mind buzzed with ideas as she mapped out the grant application details, but the excitement was interwoven with a thread of anxiety. Was her vision clear enough? Would it resonate with the community? One evening, she spread her notes across the dining table. Doodles and handwritten thoughts formed a chaotic tapestry of creativity. Laser-focused, she began drafting her application. Words flowed through her fingers as she painted a picture of the gathering she dreamed of, a vibrant event that would weave together stories, skills, and laughter. By the end of the night, she felt exhausted but accomplished. Sarah leaned back, rubbing her eyes. There was still so much to do. She needed to reach out to potential partners: the local baker, the musician down the road, even the artist who painted the murals downtown. Each relationship felt like another stitch in the fabric she was weaving. Okay, just breathe, she said to herself, pouring a cup of tea to steady her nerves. The warm steam tickled her face, a grounding moment amid the chaos. You can do this. The following week was filled with visits and phone calls. Some conversations flowed easily, while others felt more difficult. The baker, an energetic woman named Lucy, loved Sarah's idea but was busy with her own projects. Nonetheless, she agreed to provide pastries for the event if Sarah could secure funding. I believe in what you're doing, Sarah. I can't promise much, but every little bit counts, Lucy said, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. That was enough for Sarah. Every ounce of support added to the growing sense of purpose. As she made more connections, Sarah realized that people were hungry for a gathering like this. They wanted community, connection, and a break from the isolation that life often imposed. With each conversation, she quashed some of her lingering doubts. What did she have to lose? Finally, it was time to focus. Sarah set a deadline for herself to complete the grant application. Sitting at her kitchen table, framed by a window that overlooked the street, she began typing. The words felt like truths, not just ideas. Every mistake felt like a lesson learned, a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. But late one night, while revising a section about community benefits, Sarah received an unexpected message. It was a notification from a local newsletter publisher. The headline read, "Neighbors Unite to Create Community Events." She clicked on it, her heart racing. It was an article highlighting local community members working toward their own initiatives, fostering hope and connection. The last paragraph caught her eye: with bigger funding, these projects could tie even more hearts together. Her pulse quickened. What if she reached out to one of these organizers? She could learn from their experiences, perhaps even form a partnership. The possibilities seemed endless. With a renewed sense of empowerment, Sarah crafted a response to the newsletter. She poured her thoughts into an email, weaving her vision into the fabric of dreams she hoped to share with friends and neighbors. As she pressed send, it struck her every moment spent reaching out was like planting seeds. Some might not take root right away. But with perseverance and care, a garden could grow from this. But amidst the excitement, another feeling lurked in the shadows: a nagging worry about the approval for the grant. Would it be enough? What if it got denied? In that moment of uncertainty, a sudden thought hit her. What other options did she have if the grant didn't come through? Sarah leaned back in her chair, her heart racing. This was the moment where true creativity emerged from necessity. What if she explored alternative funding? As she scribbled down ideas, a spark ignited. She sensed that the challenges ahead would be pivotal in shaping not just the event, but her own resilience. The path ahead wasn't just about the gathering, it was about growing into the person she had always wanted to be. Would she have the courage to embrace the challenges? Would she discover new solutions as they appeared? The answers waited just around the corner, filled with both peril and promise. The sun streamed through the kitchen window the next morning, casting warm patches of light on her scattered notes. Sarah sipped her tea, a familiar swirl of hope and trepidation washing over her. She opened her laptop again, ready to dig deeper into the world of alternative funding. As she typed, thoughts raced through her mind. Crowdfunding, local sponsorships, maybe even a bake sale. She felt a thrill at the possibilities. Each idea felt like a spark. Could she really turn a few modest donations into something impactful? It could be just the push she needed. With a shaky breath, Sarah decided to dive into crowdfunding first. She'd heard stories of people reaching out to friends, family, and even strangers to make their dreams come true. It was time to think outside the box. She researched platforms, watching videos on how to craft a compelling campaign. She needed to tell her story, the story of a neighborhood rallying together. "Sarah, are you up?" A voice called from the other side of the house. It was Aaron, her teenage son. He wandered into the kitchen, his hair messy and his demeanor still half asleep. "Yeah. Just working on the grant," she replied, grinning. But now, it was more than just that. It felt like a full-blown mission. Aaron grabbed cereal from the cupboard, glancing at her notes spread across the table. "Looks intense. Want to talk about it?" She appreciated that he was curious even when he'd rather still be in bed. "I'm thinking about how to fund the community event. It could be pretty cool, but it's daunting. Why don't you just ask people for help?" he suggested, pouring milk into his bowl. "Right? Like giving me $5 each?" she teased. "Yeah, but also, if you can get your friends excited. Show them how awesome this can be." His simple idea rang in her mind. If only she had Aaron's confidence. With renewed energy, Sarah pulled together a list of potential contributors. Small businesses, local artists, even the school's parent-teacher association. Everyone had something to offer if she presented the idea just right. "Hey, I'm going to need some help making a video for the campaign," she called to Aaron, who was now sitting at the table, engrossed in his phone. "Sure, Mom, just tell me what to say." He looked up, a hint of excitement sparking in his eyes, and Sarah couldn't help but smile. Later that week, they set up a small studio in the living room with a blanket as a backdrop. Aaron took charge of the filming while Sarah worked on her script. She spoke with passion, sharing her vision for the gathering. "I want to create a space where everyone comes together, where laughter fills the air and stories are shared." As she watched the clips later, she felt a flutter of vulnerability. This video wasn't just about asking for money, it was about inviting people into her dream. She needed to keep that sincerity alive, to connect with hearts, not just wallets. When they uploaded the video to the crowdfunding platform, it felt like releasing a part of herself into the world. She waited, heart thudding, for that first reaction. One day passed, then two. Just as doubt began creeping in, notifications pinged on her phone. "Wow, this is awesome. I love this idea. Count me in." Her heart soared with every comment. People were responding, and it lit a flame within her. By the end of the week, support was pouring in a small but real flow of contributions. Each donation felt like a small victory, a pulse of life in what she was creating. She was not just going after a grant, she was building a movement, a community of people who believed in each other. But every high comes with its lows. As she reviewed the growing list of contributors, a sense of disbelief washed over her. What if it all fell apart? What if tasks stretched too far? The doubts were there, just under the surface, whispering what-ifs. But this time, Sarah was ready to face them. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She needed to send out updates and keep the momentum alive. With each click, she reminded herself, this was about more than her funding it. Was a testament to hope, forging connections, and igniting change. But as she pressed send on a thrilling update, another thought struck her. What if this excitement contained unforeseen challenges? What would they reveal about her, and the community she so desperately wanted to build? The answers lay ahead, obscured yet promising. The sun rose softly over Chicago, the golden light spilling into Sarah's modest apartment as it did the bustling streets below. Today was the day she had envisioned for weeks. Her community gathering was finally happening. Heart thundering, she gazed out the window, her mind bubbling with the chaos of emotions. This is it, she whispered. The moment everything changes. Yet, doubt lingered in the air like morning fog, but she shook it off. Today was about connection, love, and stepping into a brighter future. As she prepared Lucas for the day, he could sense her excitement. Are we really going to have fun? He asked, his eyes sparkling like the morning sun. Sarah knelt to his level. Absolutely. People are coming together to share stories, crafts, and laughter, just like we've talked about. It'll be amazing. She ruffled his hair, letting his innocent enthusiasm spark her own. Arriving at the park felt surreal. Colorful banners flapped gently in the breeze, booths were set up, and laughter filled the air. Friends, neighbors, and new faces milled around, their smiles warm and inviting. A gentle wave of courage washed over her as she ran her fingers across the handmade crafts she had worked so hard to prepare. She set up her stall, quickly glancing around the park. It's real, she thought, as families gathered, children ran with joy, and her heart swelled with gratitude. A familiar figure approached Jake. Sarah. This looks fantastic. He exclaimed, his eyes scanning the event with admiration. You've done an incredible job. Thank you, she replied, her voice slightly shaky. It's all happening because people believed in this idea. Jake glanced around thoughtfully, brow furrowing. I can help with more than just moral support, you know. If we get enough people involved, we can turn this into something bigger, a monthly market. Her heart leaped. You really think so? Absolutely. Just imagine the connections we could foster. His enthusiasm was infectious and poured energy back into her. Let us get through today, and then we'll brainstorm, she grinned, feeling a spark of hope ignite within her. As the gathering unfolded, Sarah's worries began to fade, everyone connected, shared warmth, and laughter echoed as stalls filled with life. Small discussions turned to bigger collaborations among people who had once been strangers. Sarah watched in awe as they exchanged ideas, advice, and support just as she had dreamed. In the middle of laughter and crafts, Lucas ran up to her, a splatter of paint on his cheek. Mom! I made a painting for you. He stretched out a colorful masterpiece, bursting with joy. Oh honey, it's beautiful. She exclaimed, kneeling to take the artwork. This is going up on our wall for everyone to see. As the day rolled on, Sarah's worries faded against the backdrop of joyful connections. She realized how many people rallied together, inspired by her and the truth of her journey. As small hands clasped paintbrushes and adults forged new friendships amid crafts, she felt freer, lighter. Just as the sun began to set, coating the park in a warm glow, Sarah took her spot at the center of the gathering. She clutched the microphone, gazing at all the faces beaming back at her. Thank you, she began, her voice trembling yet strong. This isn't just my dream. It's ours, the beginning of truly transforming our community. Every one of you coming together proves how incredible we can be together. This journey is just starting. Applause erupted, mixing joyous sounds with her heart that felt full to bursting. At that moment, she knew she was not only building something for herself and Lucas, but igniting hope for others, too. Together, she continued, we can create something bigger, share resources, and empower one another. Community is our craft, and love is our glue. As they cheered, her eyes found Jake S. in the crowd. His firm nod signaled that they were embarking on this adventure side by side. Once the event wrapped up, people lingered, sharing their ideas and aspirations. There was laughter, camaraderie, and determination, each echoing another spark of connection. As darkness settled in, lit by strings of twinkling lights, Sarah felt an exhilarating realization. They had transformed a simple gathering into a movement, a real chance to change lives, including her own. In that swirl of hope, connections, and acceptance, the lingering shadows of her past melted away. She was ready to seize this moment, carve a space for herself, her son, and everyone in their community. But, in the back of her mind, one thought stood out proudly: this was just the beginning. If you believe in transformation, join Sarah and her journey. You need to subscribe now to our channel, so you don't miss the next inspiring stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, because your support counts. Comment below with how this story made you feel, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.